Hey there everybody, welcome back. I want to do a quick video today and show you how I clean my paintings, the ones that I've used silicone oil in. So for most of my pours, I use floetrol as the medium, and especially if you're using craft paint or less expensive paint, you don't really need to clean your paintings off too much unless you use silicone oil. As I've mentioned in other videos, if you're doing a painting that makes a really thick layer of paint like a bloom pour, or if you're using a thicker pouring medium than floetrol, something like Apple Barrel or Liquitex, for those, you definitely do want to do some kind of cleaning to make sure that the oils from your fingers don't make it hard for the varnish to adhere to the painting. But right now I'm going to show you how to clean silicone oil off of paintings, because silicone is the biggest culprit for that. So I have a couple paintings that I did here. So this was my micro swipe, and here the only shine that you can really see is from the metallic magenta paint. You can't really see any oil on the surface, or not much anyway. But then you take this one, look how shiny that is. Do you see all that silicone oil on the top? It's like an oil slick. It's pretty crazy. So this one has to get a really heavy duty cleaning. This one still has to be cleaned because I know that I used oil in it. So I want to clean it before I put my varnish on. And that will help the varnish to stick better and last better. Okay, so I clean with cornstarch first. I have a makeup brush here, just a soft, I think it cost me $1 or $2. Just have a fluffy, very soft brush, because you don't want to scratch up your painting while you're cleaning it. So let me start with this one. Oops, sorry. Let me start with this one. So I'm just going to put a small amount of cornstarch out on the canvas, and then you use your brush to spread it around. And then you use the brush to work it into the canvas, to really scrub. So you're rubbing it all over the surface of that paint. To try to absorb any of the oil that still remains on the surface. Sometimes there will be pockets that you can see and you go, oh wow, that was a big drop of oil, and you'll see the cornstarch stick to it, and then you'll see as the cornstarch cleans it away, and I think we'll see that on the chameleon pour painting. For this one, I'm not really seeing much, but the cornstarch is lifting up, absorbing, and then lifting away whatever residual oil was there on the surface of the painting. So after you feel like you've gotten the surface right, brush on the edges just to get any oil that has gone onto the edges of your canvas. Okay, and then take this someplace. I like to go outside or over a trash can and thoroughly brush all the cornstarch off of it. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've brushed off as much of the cornstarch as I can with the brush, and there's still going to be trace amounts of it on here, and I don't want that slippery, powdery cornstarch to get in the varnish, so there will be another step, which is wiping it off with some soapy water, and I'll show you that in a minute after I do the cornstarch on the chameleon cell painting. So I'm going to do it exactly the same. put on some cornstarch and then brush it on with the brush. Okay, so this is sticking because there's so much oil here on the surface. Actually, the only places it's not sticking is in the middle of these purple cells that popped up before I added silicone. So that's funny. All right, so now I'm going to start the scrubbing. And you can actually see if it's quite an oily surface, the cornstarch will begin to change texture. It'll get kind of thicker, more like crumbles instead of powder. And so that can help you know if you're absorbing cornstarch or absorbing oil into the cornstarch. So there's still areas where it's still looking kind of foggy, even though I've brushed off the cornstarch. So I think I'm going to have to do 2 rounds of this to get it completely de-oiled. Okay, so I've done kind of the first scrubbing, and I have all this greasy cornstarch here that I want to get off the painting and then put some fresh cornstarch on. So let me dump this off. So just looking at the surface here, it looks a lot less shiny, a lot less greasy. But I don't think I've gotten all the oil off. I can still see some sections that look too shiny. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, add some fresh, clean cornstarch, and then clean this like I would do a typical silicone painting. Chameleon cells, they just leave a huge oil slick on the top. So you have to clean it really carefully. Yeah, I can see there's all these pockets of silicone that has soaked up that cornstarch. So where you see that, just make sure you really go after it with the brush until it all comes away. And then you can brush some more cornstarch over and brush it away again until you're sure that you've picked up all the oil that's there. And then don't forget to do the sides. I'm going to take this outside and thoroughly brush all the cornstarch off, and then assess to see if that's good enough or if I need to do another round of cornstarch. But I think that that's probably enough. I'm not seeing oil right now, so let me go brush this off. Okay, so I brushed that off, and to me it's looking good. I can't really see much sheen of remaining oil on the surface. It's possible there's a little bit down here. I can't tell if that's metallic paint or oil. But anyway, that's how you do the cornstarch part, and let me show you the next step. Okay, so my paintings have been cleaned with cornstarch. I've brushed off as much of the cornstarch as I can, and then I've cleaned the table underneath so that I'm not putting cornstarch back on the paintings. The second step of the cleaning process is to wipe it down with a little bit of lightly soapy water. So I have a paper towel here that I put just 1 drop of dish soap on, and then I put some warm water, and I just get it so that it's damp enough that it makes a little bit of bubbles. It's not super, super wet. It's damp, it's a little soapy. And then you rub that all over the canvas. So the goal of this is to wipe off any of the cornstarch that remains, as well as any tiny lingering bits of silicone oil that may be on the painting still. So make sure you get all the sides and the corners. All right, so that one has been cleaned, it has been wiped down, and I would consider this clean. You'd want to wait at least a couple days to let this dry again before you would varnish it. So don't varnish it on the same day that you clean it because the paint has soaked up some water. All right, let me do the other one. So here's my fresh wet paper towel. Like when you squeeze it, just foams enough that you think, okay, there's soap on there, but it's not super soapy, because having lots of soap on your painting isn't a great thing either. Okay, so you may have little bits of color come off on your paper towel. That's okay. Tiny bit of color coming up, that's fine. If you notice a lot of color coming up, then it might mean that your paint is not fully cured before cleaning. So stop, let it dry, try again another day. But this one, I would call that clean. So it's shiny right now because it's wet, but it is no longer all covered with silicone oil. Hooray! Okay, so that is how you clean your paintings that use silicone so that you can safely varnish, but you still can achieve all the wonderful effects that silicone can give you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next video. Bye.